Welcome to Sports Bias with Cleveland J. You're going to have to forgive me. As I was going live during the countdown, I pulled up ESPN and Steelers quarterback Dwayne Haskins has died this morning. Just a second. All right, sorry. That's kind of throwing me. I got to turn that speaker off. Ohio State quarterback and Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Dwayne Haskins died in a car accident this morning. He was in Florida practicing with the Pittsburgh quarterbacks and receivers and was struck by a car and was killed. So that's a tough one being an Ohio State fan. So my heart goes out to Dwayne's family and friends in Buckeye Nation and all his friends and loved ones. Wow, that's not a great way to start the day. So I am on today because I wasn't expecting to be. I had mentioned that I was not going to do the rest of the MLB preview shows, but something inside me just couldn't let it go. So I got one more done. The American League Central. I make no guarantees for the National League West. Not that it matters. I don't think anybody on the planet thinks the Dodgers are not going to win that division, but there are some exciting things happening in that division, so I hope to get to it over the next few days if I can piece it together, kind of like I did the National League Central. So this show is about the National League Central, my preview for the National League Central. As I had mentioned on the other episodes, the divisions mirror each other in each league. The two Eastern divisions, I think, are the best in baseball. The two Western divisions are top heavy, and the two Eastern or Central divisions are the weakest. And I think that's fair to say. I think the National League Central is the weakest of all divisions. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. We have Milwaukee. That's a top tier team for sure. So when I'm comparing the American League East and the National League East, strength wise, the White Sox are super strong. They're, I think they have the second best odds of making the World Series. The Brewers are up there too. I think they're probably 6th or 7th. I haven't looked at that closely, but if I compare the two, I would lean White Sox over the Brewers. Although the Brewers have a really good team. If they can put everything together, it could be a special team. So we're going to look at that, but I wanted to mention a couple of things, note where I made some notes here. I wanted to congratulate Rachel Balkovic. She is the first female manager in the Major League or professional baseball, the Tampa Tarpons, how do you say that? A Yankee affiliate, a single A affiliate for the Yankees. So the first female coach. They got their first win last night, so that was exciting. So I don't know really much about the story beyond that, other than I did see it and wanted to make note of it. I think it's a wonderful thing for baseball. You also have Kelsey Whitmore. She also signed a contract with in the Atlantic League for the Staten Island Ferry Hawks. So she was a star of the USA baseball team and softball teams, and an All-American softball player at Cal State Fullerton, and she's seeking her professional dream. She's actually played some professional baseball in the past, but this is the first one affiliated with the Major League. So congratulations to Kelsey Whitmore. Hopefully we see more of her, and we see more women on the diamond and competing for spots on these teams. So congratulations to both Rachel and Kelsey. Some groundbreaking things there. All right, so you're gonna have to watch the Mats and Nets for the rest of the season now, because the way they started off yesterday, and I was not happy with the Lindor's face. Frankie's one of my favorite players of all time, and I think there were 4 beanballs in that game. This is going to be all year long now, and the Nats aren't going anywhere. The Mets have a lot to lose, so they got to be careful with retaliation and getting suspended and things like that. But that's something to watch all year. Every time they play each other, there's some bad blood there for sure. So we will see. We'll see what happens with that series the rest of the year. I don't know what happens. Let's see what happens today. I'm gonna watch that game. I'm not sure what time it's on, but I am gonna watch that game. Also, another cool thing I saw on the highlights last night is Geronimo Pena. So Geronimo Pena is replacing Carlos Correa at shortstop in Houston. And, so he's probably feeling some pressure there. And I know asked earlier in the week or last week about replacing Carlos Correa. And he just said, listen, I'm not Carlos Correa. I'm just Geronimo Pena. And so it's a really cool thing. He got a bat, hit it in his first at bat. And the TV crew was interviewing his mom and dad who were in the stands. And as they were interviewing him, he hit a home run, which was really cool. That was really cool. So he's off to a great start replacing Carlos Correa in Houston. So that was kind of a cool thing to see. I knew this was going to be a great pickup. And if the Padres get this from you Darvish and Sean Manaea, if they're going to be that strong, maybe I do need to do the Western one, because I predicted the Padres last year. They were a year short, and with injuries to their team and everything, that kind of sidelined them quite a bit. But that is a strong team. A lot of hot pick was last year for the Padres. A year in, everybody playing together. Picking up Sean Manaea was great. It was a great pick. I knew it was a good pickup for them. He pitched 7 scoreless innings, following up Hugh Darvish's 6 scoreless innings. Not scoreless, I'm sorry, hitless. Hugh started with 6 scoreless or hitless innings on the opener, and Manaea came back and pitched 7 hitless innings. So the Padres are definitely off to a hot start with that offense. If they get pitching like that, that's going to be a good team. So, yeah, maybe I will try to get that done sooner than later. Also want to make a point or a shout out to my boy Javi Baez. Detroit fans, get used to it. It's going to happen all year long. Made some great plays in the field. Sent him home with a walk-off. Javi's a little more mature now since leaving the Cubs and going to the Mets, and he's just a year older, and he's a special player. Hopefully he can be more consistent than he has been in the past, but he's definitely one of the most fun players ever to watch, even if he's just on the base paths. So Detroit fans, you have a lot to look forward to with Torkelson. Hopefully Green gets back, picked up Austin Meadows. So there's a lot to be excited about if you're a Tigers fan. Hopefully Javi can become one of the leaders of that team. Lead some of these young guys, but it was really cool to see Javi off to a great start for the Tigers. And I think that's all I have. So let's talk about the National League Central. Now that I think about it, I think I forgot my one screen I was going to do. Anyway, so I think this is the Brewers division for sure. We'll see what happens. The Reds had a massive, sell-off, trade-off. They got rid of some players. Interesting farm systems in this league, the discrepancy in payrolls in this league. So we'll see. Let's take a look at it. Let's start with my fifth place team in the National League. It's the National League Central. Forgot what I was doing there. Oh, actually, before I forget. Actually, I do have another announcement. And I was going to record all these segments separately. I think I'm just going to go through and do the whole thing. Might be easier for me. So I do have an announcement. Our Ultimate Sports Movie Awards scheduled for tomorrow night at 8:00. I'm going to handle it a little bit differently. If you're following along, you know that I'm battling some issues, some cognitive issues, and some energy and fatigue issues as a result of my heart attack. I think I've overdone it a little bit over the last few weeks, and that was partly my backing off of these baseball shows. So we are not going to do. Joe also has a conflict for tonight. So what we're going to do is I'm going to post the winners. I'm going to create winning graphics for the winners for our, I think there's 16 categories for the Ultimate Sports Awards. So I'll start posting those tomorrow at showtime. So 8:00 every 15 minutes we will announce on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well as TikTok the winners of all our categories. So every 15 minutes or so we'll produce or post another winner. I apologize for that. It was a big project, and this started early on when I first started doing these shows, and my vision, like a lot of things, was bigger than I was able to do. Didn't go into it thinking that, but I got to be conscious of my health and so forth. So that will be tomorrow night at 8. I'll start posting winners. The winners. I have not looked at the winners yet. I got to get this off the screen. I have Dwayne Haskins looking at me. That's a rough blow for a Buckeye fan, and the kid was getting his life righted after some troubling days in Washington, and he's a good kid, and yeah, it's a tough one. So anyway, the Ultimate Sports Movie Awards will start posting the winners tomorrow night at 8:00. So you can look out for that. And let's move on to the 5th place team in the National League Central. All right, so they just signed Keon Bryant, Ken Bryant. Oh my God, my brain now is off with this Dwayne Haskins thing. So I'll restart. So the Pirates, they what did they finish last year? 61 and 101. I don't think this year looks a whole lot better for the Pirates, but they do have an incredible farm system. A couple years ago, new management system in place, putting more priority and effort and commitment to the minor league system. We have them ranked as 4th in his farm system. They have a ton of talent. Not a ton of major league ready talent, so I think this year and next year is still going to be rough for the Pirates, but they have a lot of assets to move. So if they start competing a little bit next year with expanded playoff format, they have pieces to move around. They have pieces to bring up, and they have some star potential in that system as well. It's not just a solid system. There's star potential in there as well. So I think the future is looking up for this great baseball town. I always kind of liked Pittsburgh. I was a big Roberto Clemente fan growing up. Obviously didn't see him play, but all the stories of him, I consumed everything baseball and the stories of Roberto Clemente and so forth. It's one of those great baseball towns like Detroit. A lot think of it as a football town, obviously, but it's always been a great baseball town. So I'm always kind of rooting for them to do well, even though they're in the Cubs division. Again, there's not teams that I really dislike that I want them to do poorly. The better teams are, the more competition, which is better, is the way I see it. But they have a low payroll at 50. They're 28th out of 30, so they're pretty low. I think they're right above the Indians in the payroll. So $56 million. So $56 million compared to what did we have last one in the National League East? We had the Phillies with 221, the Mets with 180 something. So we had a big discrepancy here with the Pirates. So let's take a look at their starting lineup. And again, that's what I was saying. Brian Hayes just signed the largest contract in the history of the Pirates, and I know he got hurt that same day. It doesn't look like the injuries anything to worry about from what I'm reading. So nice young talent there. They have a really nice little lineup. You're going to see O'Neal Cruz, a youngster. This is a fun lineup to watch. It's not household names, obviously. Probably if you're not a baseball fan, you might not know any of these names. Brian Reynolds is something to talk about at center field. He's one of their bargaining chips. He's something that teams will be looking for if it comes to the trade deadline this year. If you can get a lot for Brian Reynolds, if he's having another good year, you might see him on the move later this year. We'll see. But again, it's not all lost for the Pirates. They're definitely heading in the right direction with a lot of young talent. So if you're a Pirates fan, I do have a lot of friends that are Pirate fans, and so they'll be back. They'll be back relatively soon. I did not know Jose Quintana was with the Pirates. I forgot about that. But again, get names you don't know of in the starting staff. David Bender as a closer. He's a solid closer. Again, we'll see. I mean, when it comes to these teams, these bottom dwelling teams, you're going to see a lot of movement. These teams aren't going to be real successful, especially teams that have a lot of pieces in the minor leagues. You're going to see a lot of movement within the organization. They're going to bring some people up that probably aren't ready just to kind of get their feet wet, try to just see how they're going to respond. Again, they don't have a ton of players that you would label ready to jump into the major league. So maybe not as much with the Pirates as you would say the Orioles and the A's, although the A's farm system sucks too. The A's are in for a long. I'll be surprised if the A's don't have the worst record in baseball. Anyway, so you are going to see them try some things. Maybe some guys from Double-A jump up during the season, especially if there's some injuries. But they may just want to start getting some people experience at the major league level. So you're going to see that. They have some nice talent. O'Neal Cruz is going to start for them. He's going to be their everyday shortstop. Hopefully, I believe that's still the case. I did not look at opening day. Again, I did these rosters a few weeks ago, these projections a few weeks ago. Diego Castillo also is somebody you'll see. You're going to see this year. You're going to see Contreras this year as well. The one player you're probably going to see as well is has my heart too. And again, going back to my Buckeye connections, Kanan Smith-Njigba is the older brother of Jackson Smith-Njigba, the wide receiver for Ohio State Buckeyes, who is probably the greatest wide receiver in college football this year. We will see, but I think the consensus is he's the number one wide receiver in the country, especially after his Rose Bowl game. But he's even Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson both said that he was superior to both of them, and those two are probably top 10 picks in this coming draft. His older brother Kanan is an outfielder for the Pirates, and you'll be seeing him at some point this year probably as well. Very athletic, so you'll be seeing him as well. Again, farm system strong. They're going places. They're going to have some bargaining chips. Not a whole lot of bargaining chips this year other than low-level talent, which there's teams that are certainly looking for. But Brian Reynolds might be somebody you might see on the move later. Roberto Perez they picked up as well, a great defensive catcher. I love him from the Indian days. He's somebody that I could see possibly moving. They have a couple catchers in the wings that they could probably work on if somebody needed a catch-up at the time. I can maybe see Perez moving later in the year too. He's not much of an offensive threat, but he's also a clutch player, always has been. So he's had great playoff appearances and so forth. So you might see Roberto Perez make a move later in the year if a team is looking for a catcher. So we'll see. I have the Pirates winning 75 games. So that's quite a big jump from 61. Now this is partly just staying healthy. Obviously, they have to stay healthy. I think the young talent, I think there's a lot of energy on this team and in this franchise right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see this team kind of overachieve a little bit. Are they going to get to 80 wins? I can't imagine that. I think 75 wins is a push. I think 75 wins is a little bit of a stretch, but given their farm system and their young players and the excitement around this team, in this organization, at least within the organization, I think you're going to see some good things come out of Pittsburgh this year. I still have them in the cellar, although would it surprise me if they don't end in the cellar in this division? I can see that happening as well. Like in the other cases, there's no way the A's aren't going to be in the cellar. There's no way the Orioles are not going to be in the cellar. What else did I do? The American League Central is kind of up in the air. American League West, that could be a couple different teams too, but wouldn't surprise me totally if the Pirates do not end up in the cellar. I think it'd be a stretch, but again, this is a fun team to watch. So if you have the baseball package, MLB.TV, if you missed it, and you're a T-Mobile fan, I still think you can get it for free. So you get to watch all the games on television, all the games on the radio, home and away broadcasts. The only thing you can't watch is your in-market games and the national games, but you can catch national games on other channels, and your in-market games you see locally. So if you're a baseball fan, it's definitely worth it. Well, it's worth it now because it's free. So if you are a T-Mobile subscriber, you need to download the T-Mobile Tuesday app. That's where they have all their offers and specials and deals. I think they have a free something from Chick-fil-A coming up too. I know people love Chick-fil-A. So download the T-Mobile Tuesday app. If you're a T-Mobile fan, you can get it for free. The whole season's $140 value, and it's worth a whole lot more. You get to see every single game, every single broadcast, radio broadcasts, and all kinds of other special stuff. Some deep dives into teams and minor league systems and things like that. So it's well worth it. So again, I have the Pirates at 75-87, fifth in the National League Central. Let's move on to my fourth place team in the National League Central. All right, so before I start getting hate, and I recorded this one, thank goodness, the Cubs are the love of my life. You know, outside my family and my kids, obviously, everybody knows that. The Cubs are the love of my life, and everybody that knows me knows this. I was one of those guys that the YouTube videos were made on me crying when they win. You know, it was great outside of my family and marrying and births of children and so forth. Greatest day of my life, hands down, the Cubs winning the World Series. I'm frustrated with the Cubs, you know, and I think as most Cubs fans are, how they squandered that young team, young talent, and only had one Super Bowl or a World Series appearance. You know, it was a really great stretch run. My feeling is after the Ricketts won, they had really no incentive, and they really didn't before to win, because Wrigley is Wrigley, and the Cubs are the Cubs. They're going to draw. If you've never been to Wrigleyville during a game or been to Wrigley Field, people are going to show up regardless. That wasn't always the case, obviously. It's changed over the years, but right now there are, I don't know how many bars within a 10-block radius, over 100. Restaurants and some really great places, great food, great specials, great atmosphere. The Ricketts put a lot of money into Wrigleyville and making the plaza and everything even nicer out there. But you know, what's their incentive to win? They were Cubs fans and they got their World Series title. I don't know how much energy or how much hunger there is left. Now they're, you know, just bought a soccer team, which is, you know, whatever. I'm frustrated. I hate to see the guys go. I hate to see Javi go. I hate to see Chris Bryant go. You know, I would like to see them keep them together and see what they could have done. It wasn't working, you know, to run its course. You know, last year they finished 71-91. Obviously not a great thing. You know, their farm system is rebuilding, which is something, you know, that it built on with Theo coming in. And now Jed, I mean, they have a ways to go with their farm system. You know, they're not showing me a whole lot right now. Their payroll is still, you know, relatively high. It's mid-pack at 141 now. So it's mid-pack. They have some money to spend. I don't know. Frustration. You know, the fact that I'm using Nico Horner as the picture for the Cubs says something. You know, yes, I could have used, you know, Willie Contreras, which again, I don't expect him to stay along much. He's their big trade bait. I'd love to see him stick around. You know, I could have used, you know, Jason Hayward. I could have used Kyle Hendrickson. You know, this team is not going to be great. And I hate it. I originally was thinking, I don't know, I was thinking before I really dove into it, just my heart thinking that they were going to have a better year, and maybe finish second or third in the division. I just can't see that happening. You know, they got some young talent. You know, Brendan Davis, you know, hopefully we'll see soon in the outfield. But you know, picking up Suzuki was a great pick. I loved seeing that. They dig up Simmons. Nick Madrigal's a fun player to watch. He'll be definitely a player to watch. Patrick Wisdom had a great year last year at third base, but he strikes out a ton. Let's see what he does this year. Hopefully Ian Happ can put things together and have a solid year, consistent year all the way across the board. Frank Swindell again. Playing first base. He strikes out a ton. So we'll see. Rafael Ortega is a nice center fielder, but again, these are not the names we're used to as Cub fans. I think their major league lineup is not horrible. I think there's teams that have worse lineups. Some of these younger teams and bottom dwelling teams, but if they get career years, if Jay Hay has a career year and Simmons has a career year, Wisdom can do what he did last year. Ian Happ becomes consistent. They can finish in third. I don't think they get any higher than third. We'll see. Pitching wise, they picked up Marcus Stroman, Wade Miley, Drew Smiley, David Robertson as a closer, Alec Mills. This team, this pitching staff is, I think what I write down yesterday, I had something for the Cubs that I was gonna say. As I did a deep dive into the Cubs. Yeah, I mentioned the Ricketts, the atmosphere, no one to them to win. I did want to mention the statue of Fergie Jenkins is being revealed. So that's a cool thing to go along with the other ones there. Yeah, their pitchers had the slowest fastballs and changeups in the league, right? They had the lowest spin rate in the league as well. As a result, is their bullpen was so weak because of it. I mean, if you have the fastest fastball and changeups in the league and lowest spin rates, your staff's not going to be that strong. So there's not a lot of diversity in this lineup. They can't mix it up a whole lot. You're seeing the same thing every day from the Cubs pitching staff, and teams are going to tee off on them. They have to get some young arms in there and try some things out and mix things up, because these guys all are basically the same pitcher. They're pitch to contact pitchers. They're not strikeout pitchers. Not that you need all strikeout pitchers, but if you have one Kyle Hendricks or two Kyle Hendricks on your team, great. But this is all facing the same guy day in, day out, and teams are going to light them up. That's why I can see, and I'm going to get hate from all my Cub fans. They're the love of my life. Remember that. I can see the Pirates surpassing them. I can. They were 10 games back of them last year, and they're kind of up and coming. The Cubs need to rethink and reevaluate what they're doing with their farm system, make some further commitments. I think you maybe need to bring new people in. I don't know if Jed Hoyer's the answer. It just seems like they don't have the same hunger and same thirst that they did when that group came in. It seems very stale in Chicago, which is really frustrating. These are some guys you're going to see again. Hopefully, we see Euchert and Roberts again. They have to mix it up pitching wise. This is just not going to. If they go through the league the year with this staff, they're going to lose 100 games. I mean, you can't have a pitching like this staff like this in the major leagues these days. You just can't. Teams are just going to feed off this pitching. So we'll see. Brendan Davis, Miguel Amaya. That's why I think you might see Willie Contreras move at some point. I'd like to see Caleb Killian. Again, I haven't seen who they kept and who they didn't, because I didn't look at it that closely this week because of everything else going on. But Alfonso Rivas too, somebody you're going to see. I would like to see him sooner rather than later. Frank Swindell is not the answer at first base. So again, it's going to be a frustrating year for the Cubs, and not a ton to look forward to right now. Like if I'm a Pirates fan, there's a lot to look forward to. You have a lot of young talent. The Cubs are 13th in farm system, and I think maybe even sinking lower than that. They're definitely not on the rise there. They might be stagnant or lowering. I don't see them making a major jump. They don't have a lot of organizational flexibility, which I've talked about in other episodes, to make a quick fix with their system or at the major league level, which they wouldn't do anyhow. So we'll see. I'm going to be watching this team like I always do, and watching for these young guys, seeing how these young guys develop more than anything, rooting for some of these minor league kids to get a chance and see what they can do. I can't see them making a trade. Now, trade deadline, what are you going to do? If Marcus Stroman is having a good year, could this be the year we see Kyle Hendricks dealt at the trade deadline? It certainly could be. Wilson Contreras, Jason Hayward, if he's having a great year, I'd hate to see him go. And I know he gets a lot of hate for the big contract he signed, but I love that man. He's a great guy, and I'll have him on my team any day. I think he's just a great clubhouse leader, and love him on the team. And I don't know how much of a trade asset he would be, unless some injuries somewhere else and so forth, or unless he's having a really great year. So hate to see him go, but they do have some a couple pieces to move at the trade deadline to acquire some younger talent. They're going to have to spend some money. They're down to 15th in spending. They had money to spend, and they didn't go out and really make much of a difference on this team. I know they got Simmons and Stroman, and they did pick up Suzuki, which I think is a great pickup. I think he had a hit or 2 hits or something yesterday. So we'll see. It's gonna be a long year for my Cubbies. I'm gonna be there every day watching them and rooting them on. But I have realistic expectations, and there's definitely a part of me that's really sour that we went through that stretch with all that talent and squandered it. Yes, we got a World Series win for sure. I mean, that was, again, the greatest day of my life, but we should have had more appearances. We should have been stronger those next 2 years. We were close the year before. I think they mishandled a lot of things contract-wise, obviously with Chris Bryant and so forth. And I understand Chris Bryant's skills had deteriorated a little bit, but you got to see if you can right the ship with him. He was the National Player of the Year in high school. He was a National Player of the Year in college. He was Rookie of the Year. He was MVP in like a 6-year span. That's not just a fluke talent. And he was fighting through injuries on this team. So how well they handled the injuries as well, something to kind of look at as well. Anyway, I have the Cubs finishing at 79 and 83, tied for third in the American League Central. So there you go. I think this is a really optimistic view. I think this is my homer view and my love for the Cubs view. It would not surprise me if they finish last. It would not surprise me if they finish last if the Pirates catch them. If they win 71 games, if they won 65 games, would I be totally shocked? No, especially if there were some injuries in here. Would it shock me if they won 85 games? It would totally shock me. I don't think this team has 85 wins in them with that pitching staff, unless they do something drastic, sign somebody huge, which I don't see happening this time. Their pitching staff is going to be feasted on. I don't see any way that they win 85 games. I think 79 is a big stretch for this team. That was just me being optimistic and being a Cubs homer. So I have them tied for third in the American League or National League Central. Let's move on to my other third place team. I guess, yeah, tied for third place teams. Can you guess who it's going to be? All right, I have my tie for third place, so we know I have them as 79 and 83. The Cincinnati Reds. Now, this is only because they had some people, they got rid of some people and went more with the youth movement. I still think they're better than the Cubs. I think there's more energy within this organization, but we will see. It all still has to play out. We'll see. I did the Reds episode with my buddy Scott Utz. I'd love to have his take on this, especially after all people they got rid of. So they have some excitement. Hunter Green's finally making his major league debut and start. I think tomorrow. Is today Saturday? Tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to seeing this kid pitch. He's been through a lot. It's a name baseballers have known for a long time since he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated as a high schooler. It's just a really great story, and it shows what Major League can do and what they can produce if they invest the money into inner city baseball. It's ridiculous. That's another story altogether. But this kid has just flames coming out his arm. Doesn't throw quite as hard as he did before his surgery, but good kid. I can't wait to see him watch. I'm rooting for him, and you're going to see him pitch tomorrow. Let's take a look at their lineup. So Jonathan India's a really great player. Hopefully he takes another step forward. He missed out on 30 and 30 year last year, I believe, only because a rain out. He actually got his 30th stolen base, if I'm remembering this all correctly. It's all kind of jumbling, but Tyler Naquin has to stay healthy. I mean, he's not a superstar. He's a average major league player. Had some good years with the Indians, but he couldn't stay healthy. But he's a nice addition to your team if you have talent around him and he doesn't have to carry the weight in any way or shape or form. So We'll see. Moustakas has to have a better year for them to be able to compete. That's just all there is to it. He struck out a ton. They picked up Tommy Pham, which is good. You know, yeah, this lineup isn't horrible, but it's not what it was last year. There's gonna be a lot of pressure on Joey Votto to have another good year. I guess the 2020 was his down year. He's older, and I know there's a lot of sentiment on the Reds and Reds fandom that would like to see him moved to a winner. Joey's been on this team since he came up, and he's a lifelong Mets or Reds player, but do the Reds owe it to him to send him somewhere where he can compete for a World Series? I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I don't know how Joey feels about it. Maybe he just wants to stay a Red. I mean, most players, they want a title. They played this long and won a title. So I have to believe if his wishes, if he wants to go to a World Series, and also on the same note, he is a Reds fan, and he understands his bargaining value, especially if he's having a good year. They can get some pieces for him going down the stretch. So if the Reds are not in contention, which they more than likely won't be, and they see they can move Votto to get him in a position to win a World Series, to satisfy his desires, and also get some young talent back in return, I think that's a win-win for the organization. And I know there's players that are fans that are purists that want him to stay with the Reds no matter what. I get that. I get that feeling. It would be great if players can stay with their team, but if you're a fan of that team and you want them to be competitive for years in the future, some of these business moves have to happen. Enjoy your time and be grateful for your time with Joey Votto, and wish him well. Root for him getting to a World Series and getting a ring, and maybe he comes back. Who knows? Maybe he comes back. I have not looked at his contract situation, but maybe he comes back or finishes with the Reds or whatever. I mean, I think he's 37, 38, maybe 38. I'm not really sure. But he's up there. And so if he can prove to have another consistent year, a good year this year, he struck out more this year. He went for power versus contact this year. He made that shift. It paid off in home runs and RBIs, not in the average, but so we'll see. So again, this lineup isn't bad. Moustakas stay healthy. Votto has another year. Tommy Pham, having a good year. Some nice young pieces there too. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Their pitching staff I already mentioned. Hunter Green, Lucas Sims is the closer. This is not a bad staff. It's not great either. It's better than the Cubs just because they have change in velocity. You have Hunter Green that's going to throw 100 miles an hour, and the Cubs have a whole bunch of pitchers that throw 98 or 89 rather. So again, my pick, having them tied with the Cubs is more of a homer pick. I get that. Do I think realistic the Reds finish above the Cubs, even with what they lost? I do. I think Reds fans are down. A lot of Reds fans that I've read are down on this team because of the moves they made this spring. But there's still a lot to look forward to. Again, their farm system, I think, is a little misleading. I have them at 16. I think they're rising through that. I think they're rebuilding that. I think they're not as far off. I think it's that one of those 1 year. I wouldn't be surprised if next year they're down to like 12 or so, or up to 12. They have money to spend. They're at 21 payroll wise. It's just a matter if they want to spend it. I don't foresee that. I don't see them making a trade at the deadline that betters them in the sense of making the playoffs this year. I don't think you get rid of young talent with this team to make the playoffs for 1 year. But we'll see. We'll see how they do and where they're at the deadline. But I think with those National League East teams much stronger than this division, I think you're going to see the wild cards come out of there, and maybe one out of this division, not two for sure. There's no way 2 wild cards are coming out of this division. So if the Reds can get up into that position, we'll see. Can they get to close to the 90 win mark that would take to probably make the playoffs, and probably even more? That's a stretch. They had 83 wins last year, and I don't think there's anybody that thinks this team's better than last year's team. So we'll see. Look at some of their prospects again. You have Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo is also a pitcher that you're going to see. Tyler Stevenson, catcher, is a great prospect. He's going to be your starting catcher. I don't know why I put the left-handed pitcher on the other side of Brandon Williamson. And I put Eli De La Cruz on there. He's not ready, but he is a guy to watch. We'll see how he rises within the system this year. He is electric. Fans are going to love him. I think he's untouchable from the organizational standpoint, so they're not getting rid of him. I know everybody's going to ask about him, but he's not going to. So again, if these guys these young kids step up and show some things, I think there's a lot to look forward to for next year for the Reds. I think this year is going to be a struggle. I think that makes sense for them to struggle this year, kind of a transitional year for them. But they have some good arms. They have some really good arms that are ready to help now. Do they have the young arms that the Marlins do in the East? No, but if these guys all pan out, and they have some other ones ready to go too. Beyond that, that level there that you're seeing with Stevenson and Green in that group, there's a big gap. Now you're looking at the 24 or 25 season with these A-ball and rookie league players. So their farm system is not as weak as the 16 rank indicates, but it's young. It's young. They do have some major league ready talent right now that'll help this year and next year. But beyond that, there's a big gap there. So we'll see how they fill in the pieces at the trade deadline, perhaps, or in the offseason, again, with some money to spend and so forth and moving some pieces around. We'll see what they do. I'm always rooting for them. Being an Ohio kid, Indians and Cubs are my loves. But again, I always want to see teams do successfully, except for maybe a couple. And actually, one of the ones that I always root against, I'm actually kind of pulling for this year, the White Sox. That's a fun team. And now, don't get me wrong, I don't like the White Sox or their fans. Sorry, I said it. Bobby Mack's going to come on in a couple weeks and give me shit about that. But that's a fun team. That's a fun team to watch. So I'm rooting for guys to do well. I pay attention to a lot of these minor leaguers. So I'm rooting for individuals as well. That sometimes changes my picture of the team and organization often. So we'll see. So that is my third place teams, the Reds and the Cubs. And again, I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Reds beat the Cubs. Now, on the flip side of that, could I see the Reds tanking as well? I absolutely could. I think it's more likely the Cubs win 65 games than the Reds do. But are the Reds capable of only winning 65 games? Hell yeah. Yeah, they are. Especially if they have some injuries in there. These pitchers don't pan out or they're not quite ready. It could happen, but more likely the Cubs, tank a little bit worse than the Reds. So there's your look at the Reds. I think, again, I have them at 79 and 83, tied for third in the American League Central. More than likely, it's going to be just them. But again, I had to go. I had to show some love for my Cubs. All I did was sit there and beat them up today. I laugh because I look at all these other teams I've done, and I've put stars or young stars on the photos, and I put Nico Horner. Not that I don't love me some Nico Horner, but he's not a star in the major leagues, nor will he ever will be. He's a solid everyday player, borderline everyday player. But the fact that I had to use him or felt like I used him in their picture, I think speaks volumes to where the Cubs are at. All right, let's move on to the number 2 team in the American League Central. I bet you can guess who it is. All right, that other team of mine that I don't really care for, but I respect. Again, all they have to do is say 13. I'm not a trash-talking guy. I don't trash talk about other people's teams, no matter what sport it is. I root for my team. I don't trash talk. First of all, I'm from Cleveland and Chicago, so that comes back to bite me really easily. But it's just never been my thing to trash talk and root against people and so forth. And I hate people that do. And I read this stuff on Facebook and all these threads and people, it's whatever. So I am not a hater of the Cardinals. I don't like them. I strongly dislike them, but I respect what they do. I respect what they've meant to baseball and their history. Some of my favorite players are Cardinals, Albert Pujols, which we'll talk about in a second. So I respect this organization. Now, kind of where they are right now, it just seems like, Cardinals are always one of those teams, no matter what they are. Sometimes they're going to be really good. But there's other times where you're not really sure where they're going to be, but they seem to always be in the mix somehow. Again, they've done it well enough in their minor leagues, like combining the minor league balance and free agency and always having a team on the field that is capable of winning. where other teams I think have relied on youth movements and so forth, and then balance things out maybe with some talent, major league talent, as some of that talent matures. The Cardinals have always had like a balance of those two. Always, it seems. In very few years has it backfired them. I mean, I don't know the last time the Reds finished in the cellar, or how many times I should say they finished in the cellar of this division. That'd be something to look at. I'd like to know that. Just seems like even when they're having down years, they'll come out of nowhere, or you expect them to have a down year and they come out of nowhere. So it's just one of those organizations. They've always done the right things. They have 13 World Series titles to prove it and other appearances. So they're 21st in farm system. Again, I think that's a misleading number. They got rid of a lot in the last few years to pick some things up. Goldschmidt, I don't remember what the deal is with that one, so I don't want to speak of that actually. But their payroll is 12th, so they still have a pretty high payroll. But they have some flexibility there. They can move some pieces around. So it's hard to say the Cardinals are never in a good position, because it seems like always they're in enough of a position to make moves, enough of a position to make a run. I'm always rooting against them, but so let's talk about even before we get to the lineup. I mentioned this on one of the episodes. I am thrilled to see Albert Pujols coming home. In my lifetime, that 10-year stretch in St. Louis, I saw him a lot, obviously being a baseball fan, but specifically a Cubs fan. Saw him play many times. He's the best player I've ever seen in my lifetime playing. And I've seen a lot of good ones. And it's more the consistency. From him, but seeing him day in, day out get clutch hits and the RBIs, and just a smart player, a lovable guy, a really good guy. Seeing him come back to St. Louis, I think, is poetic justice. He's on the verge of some milestones, like kidney stones. I think he's like third or fourth in total bases and extra base hits. He should move easily into the top 3 of those with Willie Mays and Stan Musial and the likes of those names. He needs 21 home runs to reach 700. Now, that's a big ask at this point in his career, but can they protect him? Obviously, having the DH in the National League helps tremendously. I don't think he's playing in the field at all. Could he get a 21? Some projections have him at 13, getting the 13, which would still fall short of A-Rod. I think A-Rod has 696. I would really, really love to see Albert Pujols get to 700. Now, imagine the celebration in St. Louis, or across baseball for that matter, if he got to 700. That would be cool. So I am rooting for Albert Pujols to play and be healthy and have a kind of a resurgence, being back in St. Louis where it all started, the fans' encouragement. So I hope we see one of those miracle years out of him, and he gets to 21 home runs. I think that would be awesome. So I am rooting for excuse me. For Albert Pujols. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. So again, this lineup is, again, doesn't look like much on paper necessarily. Oh, I guess I want to, mention Yadier Molina too. I mean, who wouldn't want that guy on your team? As a Cubs fan, he's frustrated me for years. It always seems, again, he comes with a big hit. He's not a big stick in that lineup, never has been, but his hits always seem to come at clutch times, especially against the Cubs. But what a catcher. What a story he is. He is one of those Cardinal faces that should probably be on the Mount Rushmore of Cardinals baseball, which we haven't done one of those. So I have to reach out to some of my Cardinal fans. Oh, yeah, we're doing one. I'm doing one with Sean Wade. Never mind. That's coming up in May, by the way, our Reds episode. Our Cardinal episode. We'll be looking at the all-time greatest lineup. This will be a fun one with the talent and the names that have come through that city and the history of that city. This will be a fun one, even being a Cubs fan. So we'll go the all-time Cardinals lineup, the all-time greatest player from the Cardinals. Is it not Stan Musial? Is Albert in that conversation? Or is it Stan Musial? I don't know. I think it's Stan Musial. I don't know. Well, I'll have to dive deeper into that. But also, yeah, the Mount Rushmore and the greatest player of all time. So I'm looking forward to that. I think it's the first or second week in May. I have to confirm with Sean on that. So I'll get back to you on that. But yeah, so this lineup, picking up Arenado last year, was a good pickup. He'll have a really strong year this year. He didn't. I don't think he had a great year last year. I don't remember his numbers, but they weren't Colorado numbers. But he'll have a really strong year. Hopefully Goldschmidt still plays well for them. He's getting a little up there in age, but some nice young pieces in this lineup as well. Again, they always have a nice balance. It seems like they always have my entire lifetime of veterans and young talent. I don't know how they've done it. Because again, I don't think their farm system ever is one of the most highly rated, but it just goes to speak, which I've said this in a lot of other episodes, how important it is to have the right people in the front office, especially now, especially in the way baseball is with analytics and so forth. You have to have those young, talented execs and scouting people and analytic people to come up with these teams. I mean, but it seems like the Cardinals always have a great mix of this. And, obviously I think there's a lot of great baseball people in the organization as well that goes with their gut and knows baseball. But their farm systems are never usually like one of the top five. They're never the bottom five usually. And if they are, those are just 1 year, anomalies. They're usually, around 10 to 15. But they produce. They produce talent. They're good at bringing up their homegrown talent when they need to, and they see it. And when they're not, they know how to move it. They know how to move it and get something else it is. If it doesn't fit their view of how they play baseball in the Cardinal organization, they'll quickly move on from you and try to find pieces that do fit. And they've been successful at doing that for years and years and years. So you got to give them credit for how they do things, because it's not the strict analytics. It's not the strict old baseball gut thing. It's not going with youth. It's not spending a whole bunch of money on free agents. They sign key free agents when they do. When they need to and they have to and have available, and then they're available. But they just have a really great mix, and it's worked. We'll see how long it continues to work. I mean, it's been working so far in this era. As we move forward, do they need to put a little more emphasis into their farm system to stay what they've been doing for the last 20, 30 years? Probably so, in my opinion, but could be wrong. I do not know the faces and names in that organization running those departments. So whatever's been working certainly works. They seem like they're always in position to make a move that gets them over the hump. So they're a team that going down the trade, if they need something, they have the money. They probably have the talent to go get a big name to get them over the top. Especially, they're not one to usually sign somebody for a 1 year deal just to get them to the playoffs. They'll look at, signing an extension for whoever they're bringing in. I don't think they would do it otherwise. It's just kind of how they operate, but there's people out there. Arenado and Goldschmidt and those players, and who doesn't want to play for an organization that has that history in it and that fandom? That's what it is. All right, let's take a real quick. I've spent a lot of time in the Cardinals already, and I don't really want to. Wainwright, again, has been around forever with Yachty and him. Perfectly honest, Wainwright's not my favorite player of all time, being a Cubs fan. But, yeah, again, the staff, needs to stay healthy, obviously. They need to stay healthy, as all pitching staffs do. But they have some nice pieces in here as well, besides Adam Wainwright. Stephen Matz, don't love him, but Dakota Hudson, Jordan Hicks. Jordan Hicks is somebody you're going to want to see. Let's see what we have here. Again, they have some nice pieces. Liberatore and Palante, two great right-handed pitchers. Ali Sanchez behind Yachty. I mean, Yachty's going to be there all year, but he might be the heir apparent there. Brandon Donovan is an infielder. Can play some outfield too if you need be. So they have some people ready to go. Again, their farm system says 21st, but they have a lot of major league ready players. And I think they always do. It seems like they're loaded with people that can step in the Double-A. I think they move quickly, assess their talent really quickly at the low level, and either move them up and bring new people in or move them around. Because it seems like, going back to like the Bo Hill days where he was, Double-A player that came in and made a splash for, 2 weeks or whatever it was, just seems like they always have players like that ready to roll. So I think they have a different approach to their minor league system, even in this day of analytics, where they keep their talent at that level and ready to go if need be, or at least more marketable. Um, Single A players how many times do single A players trade hands or never pan out? A large portion of them. When you get to the Double A and there's some track record there, you start seeing a little bit more of the player and see a little bit more what they're capable of. People can assess them a little more easily and see if they fit into their organization. So, I think they do a great job with that. I have them at 84 and 78, second in the American or National League Central. I'm going to get it right one of these days. Hey, at least I typed it right today. So the Cardinals, second place in the NL Central with 84 wins. Can they compete? Can they get to the division title if the Brewers stumble? Yes. Do I see this Cardinal team as a 90-win team? I could see it. If the lineup stays healthy. Arenado has one of his Arenado years. Some of these young players step up. The young pitching steps up, if they need to. I can see them. Nothing surprises me with the Cardinals. Could I see them really faltering and going down to, say, 75 wins? Not in this division. Not when you're playing the Cubs and the Pirates so many times. No, I can't see that. I think it's more likely they jump up. But it would take the Brewers, having a catastrophic loss or fall, which I can't see. But again, the Cardinals, anything is possible with this organization. It would never surprise me if all of a sudden they have a great year. So that's who I have. Second place, the St. Louis Cardinals in the National League Central at 84 and 78. All right, the Brewers. Brewers first in the NL Central again. This is a really solid team with a solid pitching staff. The closer is outrageous. He's fun to watch. It drives me crazy, and I don't like when he's playing against us. But this pitching staff is solid. It's an exciting lineup. With or without Christian Yelich returning to being Christian Yelich, I think this team is golden. If Christian Yelich has a Christian Yelich-like year, which he hasn't in now 3 years, 2 years, this would be 3. If he does, that's another thing altogether. Then I can see them going further in the playoffs. I can because they're pitching staff alone, but I like this town. I like this team. I always loved Milwaukee when I was a little kid. The Robin Yountz and Paul Molitor and those guys, and loved those teams. Being in Chicago, I spent a lot of time in Milwaukee. I think it's a really great town, another great baseball town like Pittsburgh and Baltimore and those teams. So I know they're probably our biggest rival right now is the Cubs, but hey, we won yesterday. Cubs won yesterday. We're undefeated in first place, so there. That will last. So yeah, this is a good team. I'm going to do a separate show with my actual final predictions about the playoffs and who's going to win the World Series. So I obviously have Milwaukee winning this division, and I'll talk about their playoff, the World Series hopes or chances maybe in a different episode. But I don't think there's any question. I don't know if there's anybody on the planet that doesn't have the Brewers winning this division. I've never seen anybody not have them, considering the state of this division. But don't let that fool you. This is a solid team. They won 95 games last year. I guess a weak division, but I think it's weaker this year. I think this division is weaker this year than it was last year. And I think this team's better. So 95 wins. I think this is a better team. Colton Wong, another guy that I don't really care for, being a Cardinal and now a Brewer. I don't know. Somebody's game I just don't like. I don't know. It drives me crazy. I don't know what it is. They need Christian Yelich to perform. They have some young talent in here. If they get anything out of Andrew McCutchen, I love that guy. I love Andrew McCutchen. I hope he's a good guy, and I hope he has a bounce back year. Obviously he's a little bit older now and so forth, but they have some nice talent on here. Again, Lorenzo Cain too. His age has shown he's not the player he was 2 years ago by any stretch of imagination. He had a really bad year this year. If he struggles again, you're probably going to see somebody else in that position. which stinks. But he's meant a lot to that organization over the last several years after coming over from the Royals. But you definitely saw signs of deterioration in his game last year. So we'll see. He can bounce back. Same thing happened to Joey Votto and some other players. So he can definitely have a comeback year. And if he does, if you put a really good, consistent year from Lorenzo Cain and a Christian Yelich-like year from Christian Yelich, this team becomes something very different. Then you're talking 105 wins. And now you're talking about, we can compete with the Dodgers. So we'll see. I think they're capable of that anyhow. I think they have it in them. I think this team is hungry. They saw the Bucks win. They saw the excitement in the city with that. But this is a much more of a baseball town than a basketball town for sure. I know they've been close in some playoff runs over the last little while, but I think they can feel it. I think they can feel taste the postseason again, and they won a World Series. And I think I'd be all in for that, even though I'm a Dodgers fan as my third team. I'd be all in for the Brewers winning the World Series. I think that'd be great. I think they've earned it. It's a great town. I'd love to see it. So again, their staff, Corbin Burns won the World Series. More than likely, they're going to go with the 6-man rotation most of the year. They did for a lot of time last year. Aaron Ashby, one of their prospects, will be there. Josh Hader's the closer. Woodruff, I think, is coming off an injury. So is Peralta, but they'll be good to go. This is a solid staff. I mean, their bullpen's great too. Don't sleep on this team. I know that's a division that isn't much, but this is a 95-win team from last year that's better this year. They are definitely capable of winning it all as is. If they get some years out of Lorenzo Cain and Christian Yelich, then it's more likely that they do it. And again, they have some young talent as well. You're going to see Bryce Terang at some point as well. Ethan Small. You're probably going to see Aaron Ashby be the 6th starter right away. Again, I haven't looked at the lineups this year, and maybe they wait a little bit to do that, but we'll see. They have. This is a nice team. And it's a fun team to watch. Craig Counsell broke my heart as a Florida Marlin, beating the Indians. Still hurts, but and he went to Notre Dame, so there's that against him. Sorry, no hate. But he's a great manager. He's going to be around this game for a long time. He's a great baseball mind. He does things his way. He's not afraid of, he has no fear of speaking his mind, no fear of doing the things his way. And I like that and respect that. And I think he's the perfect guy for this team. Again, their farm system is misleading as well. They're way up there at 23rd. That's a little misleading. It's stronger than that for sure. Again, I think it's pretty well balanced. They have some people who can step in right now. Have a lot of young talent, so they do have a little bit more flexibility than you would think with a 23rd ranking in the farm system. So if they do need to go out and get somebody at the trade deadline, like they've done in the past, picking up Sabathia and some other trades they've made at the deadline to get them over the hump, they have the money to do it. They're at 128. So 19th, so they're middle of the pack in spending. I think they're hungry for a World Series appearance and championship. So if they're in position to do so and need to go out and get a bat or an arm at the trade deadline, they will pull the trigger for sure. I think they have the flexibility in the organization to have that not hurt that much. So we'll see. We'll see. I have them with 96 wins. So one more than last year. I went conservative on this. I don't know why. I was just looking at the overall league in general. I think this is a 100-win team. So if I did this again today, I would say, diving deeper into this division, I would have gone with 100 wins for them. Again, would it shock me if they don't win this division? It would. It would shock me. Could they only be a 90-win team or an 88-win team? Yeah. They could, if people don't have the years they had last year, or, not even that, injuries and multiple people not having years they had. I think it would take a lot for them to only win 88 games. And then could the Cardinals catch them? Maybe. I don't think that's likely. I think it's more likely they win 100 games than they win 90. So this is a really strong team in a weaker division. Again, I think this division is weaker this year. I don't think the Reds are as nearly as good. The Cubs aren't as good. The Pirates are probably better, but still nowhere near ready to compete. And the Cardinals are always, they could go either way. Chances are they usually go trend up, but again, regardless of that, I think if you put this team in either division, they're competing for the title. The Dodgers lineup is stacked, so it's hard to compare to that. But could they finish second? Are they better than the Padres? I think they're more consistent than the Padres. I think they have pieces. Padres have all that young talent. But I'd bet on the Brewers. I'd bet on the Brewers before I would the Padres right now. Ask me again in July and how I feel about that. But right now, I think the case. Could the Brewers win the East? They could. And that's probably the second best division in baseball. I think they're good enough to win that division. So don't let them be in the Central fool you. This is a solid team, a 95-win team from last year, probably going to win 100 games this year. If they stay healthy, as is, even with Christian Yelich and Lorenzo Cain not being the factors they have been in the past, this team is a 95-win plus team that can win the World Series. If Christian Yelich and Lorenzo Cain have bounce back years, particularly Yelich, yeah, then it's on. Then I'd expect it more than I'd be surprised by it. So again, that's your look at the American League. I did it again. The National League Central. Let me kind of move this over here, see where I'm at. I'll give you a little overview of my predictions. So I have the Brewers at 96 and 66. Again, I think they're more likely 100-win team. I have the Cardinals at 84 and 78. They can go either way. Could they win 90 games? Yes. Could they win 75 games? Certainly. Could they win 65 games? I think it'd take a lot for them to fall that far. Could they fall back to the Cubs and Cincinnati or the Reds? It could. So those three teams could, wouldn't surprise me. But it would take the Cardinals having a pretty big collapse there. I can't see it. I have the Reds and the Cubs tied at 79 and 83. And again, I'll perfectly admit that should be the Reds there and the Cubs in fourth. It wouldn't surprise me if the Cubs finish last. I can see scenarios where the Reds finish last as well. Not as likely as the Cubs. I think the Cubs are much more fragile than the Reds are. And the Pirates, I think, are up and coming. They have a lot of talent and a lot of flexibility. I think there's a lot more excitement and hunger in Pittsburgh than there is in Chicago and Cincinnati for right now, for sure. I'd probably even say that that's over the case in St. Louis as well. There's a lot of things to be excited about if you're a Pirates fan. Again, you're still probably 2 years away, but the right people in the right places now, putting priority on the minor league system and where they're ranking. I think they're number 4, and that could actually be higher. They are positioned to do some things over the next couple of years, and it wouldn't surprise me next year if they make a wild card spot. Year after that, I think they're contenders, right off the bat. So we'll see. Again, not the weakest or not the strongest division in baseball, probably the weakest. But you have some exciting things happen in this division with Milwaukee and at the other side of things, Pittsburgh. The other three teams I think need to find themselves, particularly the Reds and the Cubs. St. Louis are the St. Louis Cardinals, and they're going to do what they always do and surprise us and kind of be in the mix somehow, some way. So there is your preview of the National League Central. Again, I will do my best to try to do the National League West, rather. I can make no guarantees. I said that I would not do these 2 episodes, but it was kind of eating me up that I didn't finish. I don't like it unfinished, right? I wanted it done before the season started. I knew I couldn't do that. But if you guys give me a little bit of flexibility, maybe I could have the other one up sometime in the next few days. If I decide I can't, I won't, but I will do a short episode with my playoff projections and World Series winners and things like that. So I will do a short episode to kind of tie everything together if I can't do the National League West. But that's it for today. I will see you. Please comment, share. I will break these teams apart as well, like I have the other divisions. Those segments are actually doing really well on our YouTube channel. I've been posting them into different groups for those teams, and they've been bouncing around a little bit. So that's worked well for us. And that's one of the reasons that motivates me to do the National League West too, because I'd like to have all of them and kind of put a playlist together with all that. So we'll see. But definitely like and share, comment, and love to hear what your thoughts are on this division and all the divisions or anything I missed. Obviously, you're from those areas. You might be a little bit more in tune with their minor league system, or some of the most recent things have happened, or people that made the team that I wasn't aware of. So I'd love to hear from you. Reach out. If not, I will see you soon. Peace.